Okay. So welcome to the Blackletter Brunch. I am at Letterform Archive with Rob Saunders, the director and founder of Letterform Archive. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Rob, very much.
Yeah, of course, of course. Okay, well, so we'll dive right in. This is just going to be a show and tell under a camera. And I guess I'll start with old stuff. So just have to be able to, well, let's take that little batard. Yeah. And then everything that's like before 1900, bring it over here now. By the way, I had knee surgery a couple of weeks ago.
Can't hear anything.
Can't hear anything.
Can't hear anything.
I can. You're fine.
I can.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can everyone else hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Try turning up the volume, Margaret.
I'm wondering if it's a device issue, or maybe you don't have the right micro configured for your, not right speakers configured for your audio.
Okay. So I'm going to start. Let's activate the camera. Okay, so is everybody seeing what's on the copy stand?
No.
No.
Can't see it,
Oh.
Rob.
Can't see it. Okay.
I can.
Share your screen.
Well,
See, share screen. So this?
Yeah.
Okay. Can everyone see Rob's?
Yeah. I think you got it.
But his,
Yeah.
see his laptop.
yeah,
I'm
it's not the
sorry.
laptop we want. It's the other.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Stop
yeah.
share.
So stop sharing.
Share screen.
Well, no, but it's not that because it's from here. Let's see. Share content. Here it is. It's great. So,
There we go.
No, I'm not sharing screen.
well, maybe I have to go to the camera directly.
Let's see.
Do you have that file open?
Well,
There we go. Okay. Just turn it around.
yes.
Excellent. Perfect.
Okay. How about now, folks?
No.
So I think
I'm seeing that now.
yeah, I think we just have to make this the focus somehow. Let's see.
Let's go to participants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spotlight
Yeah,
for
there we go.
everyone.
Okay.
How about that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
finally. Okay, good. Sorry, that was such a fiddle. I was just saying that I had knee surgery a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not very mobile, and Raul came early to help me set up, and I'm actually strapped into an icing machine at the moment. So this is kind of a random walk through our various kinds of Blackletter holdings. This first one is from around 1475. It's an excerpt of a liturgical work not, I think, a book of hours, in a lovely batard on beautiful slunk vellum with some nice gilding. Can everyone see? I wonder if I go. Okay,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not
it looks
sure how
good.
close I can go and focus.
That gets blurry.
That gets
Fuzzy,
blurry,
yeah.
yeah. The iPhone has such a great macro lens now, but Zoom doesn't access it, so. Yeah, and you can see from my fingers, this is quite small. This is probably I don't know, about 10 centimeters high. And it's a fragment that's kind of nicely bound up. We have a collection of leaves, and we also have a few collections like this where a prior a collector had gathered leaves, and this particular volume has a bunch of quite nice. You know what, Raoul? I think we'd get better light if you lowered that shade. Yeah, thank you. Origin, yeah. Let's see. A little more. Yeah, I think that's better, right? It's not so contrasty. Good. Okay. So this is a collection of leaves. Most of these are early, sort of proto-Gothic of various kinds. And I thought it would just be an interesting thing to show. You don't often see the proto-Gothics in variety. And we, as calligraphers, we're used to working from the more common models. And it's nice to see the freedom and that. So this one is really interesting, right? It's a little bit of Batard, a little bit of Carolingian even, quite round, but not really rotunda. Look at the fondees on that. That almost establishes the rhythm of the page. That's a very loose, not super skilled, I would say, that one. I think that's another leaf of the same thing. Feel free to ask questions at any time, particularly since we're going to go through this pretty quickly, and questions about objects later won't really make sense. Or, ask me anything about the archive or other contextual questions. Okay, so that's the end of that little.
I'm actually wondering how those leaves are affixed in that book.
So this came from the Netherlands, and they are tipped to the back of a cut leaf. And I think it's actually a stock acid-free sketchbook. So they've just cut back some leaves and then tipped the edge of the manuscripts to the loose leaf.
No, thank you. Do you know what they use to tip them in with?
Oh, no way. No way to know. But it does appear to be, I mean, I would guess either wheat paste or PVA, because it's fairly recent. There's no sign of acid migration, and it seems pretty well done. But when we acquire an object like this would have been from an auction or a dealer in the Netherlands, and they wouldn't know, and therefore we don't know.
Thank you.
Okay. You can kind of go in size, I guess. Let's do this. So this is in some sense probably the most spectacular object you're going to see today. We have a small handful of Renaissance illuminated books of hours. But this is the one that's actually kind of super nice. So we call it the Rothschild Book of Hours. That's what it says on the case, because of the provenance. It belonged to the Baron Philippe de Rothschild in the mid-19th century, and he was the one that arranged for this binding of it, which is signed. This is a manuscript book of hours, use of serum. For those who know what that means, it's kind of a liturgical designation in Latin from the southern Netherlands around 1470. Okay. Is everybody seeing pretty well?
Yeah, looks good, Rob.
Okay, so here's the table of days at the front, which we'll skip through. It's kind of hard to skip through a vellum manuscript, as it turns out. Okay, here we go. So here's the first of the major spreads. And so light getting the gold. There, you can see it a little. There. Whoops, there it is. Okay. So that's tipped up just so you can see a bit of the gilding. The gilding is quite lovely and in pretty good condition. It's a known illuminator. I'm not going to read the whole bibliographical thing. There's 25 complete miniatures, and also the illumination is untrimmed, which is hard to find, especially in sort of the lesser illuminated manuscripts. But let's zoom in on the script a bit. It's a lovely texture with a nice sort of soft, quick rhythm. Raul just photographed the description, and we can share that.
Yeah.
So here, yeah. Interesting. The color is better if I zoom out because it gets more in a better white balance.
Is this San Roque? No, that's
There's, you mean the illustration? There's a whole, we've got a table of all the illustrations. My favorite is St. George and the Dragon. I'm also really fond of this gold.
the diapering.
Yeah, the diapering is just gorgeous in this. So. Any questions about this one before? There's St. George and slaying the dragon. That's a fun one.
Look, they say it looks a little fuzzy, but
I liked it when you held it up close. That seemed to work well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that.
yeah, would it help to lower the camera?
No, I'm fine.
Might be easy.
Yeah. I mean, it turns out this is really more about illumination than script, but the brief was Blackletter, so we went with it. Okay. Well, I'm not going to try to show every illumination, but so there's that. Let's see. Let's do. This will do this. Yeah, this will be a zoom up. So, and the writing manual. Let's see. Here's the Vanderbilt.
That's very cool.
And the leaf. The Vanderbilt leaf.
I think it's this and this. It. Okay.
No, it's in one of those. Oh, there it is. No, your fingers are on it. It's between those two blue ones. There it is. Yeah, perfect. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm trying to keep it somewhat chronological, but it doesn't really matter. So, this is a pairing of objects that we often show on the table together because of how well it illustrates a particular thing in the history of printing. So this is a leaf of the Gutenberg Bible paired with a leaf from a manuscript Bible written near Mainz and about 5 or 10 years before the Gutenberg Bible was printed. And so basically you can see exactly what Gutenberg was trying to copy: the texture, the arrangement of the pages, everything about the manuscript and the printed Bible are, it's almost like a clone. Famously, the Gutenberg Bible is a 42 lines. This happens to be a 40-line manuscript Bible. But you can also see in the decoration and the Lombardic headlines, which are done by hand in the Gutenberg Bible, that it's very much based on the calligraphic model. So next we have a writing master's manuscript. This is unattributed, but we know it's Northern Germany. We think it's Neudorfer school. This is actually a bind up of loose manuscript sheets of 2 scribes, one of whom is not that great and one of whom is amazing. So there's extensive repair. You can see that the leaves are backed because the iron gall ink is eating through the paper. So these front ones are okay, pretty good. It gets a bit better. Then we start to get into the better of the scribes, and we have some amazing things. So there's decorative stuff like this with ribbon work and flourishing.
Yeah, it's still a little blurry. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Might be a bandwidth thing. Check out that ribbon work. There's this amazing piece of work which has, you notice the headline is broken and shifted. It's like a baseline shift of the 2 parts of the thing. It's one of those things, if you squint, it turns to 3D. The ribbon that's running across it, this is a very conscious 3D effect from, like, early to mid 18th century. And then we have these quite lovely capitals. There's the small ones, the medium ones, and the big ones. These are really over the top. They're just great. I don't know if I can go closer without getting fuzzy, but can you see the detail? I suppose it depends on connection and bandwidth, among other things. And then at the end, so there's one page that has an upper and lowercase alphabet. Interestingly, the spacing isn't so great. Calligraphy is decent, but the spacing was sort of weird. And then the last 2 plates have rubrication and are quite formal and quite fabulous.
It's beautiful. Look at the detail on that.
So any questions about this one?
So this is early 18th, right?
Early to mid 18th, northern Germany. There are people on here who might actually know something, and if they do, they should speak up because we like to learn. This is unattributed.
That is, well, it's Fraktur.
Yes, yes, mainly fractured. You know, there's a couple of early leaves here that I forgot to show. This is kind of a nice petard. This is France, 1470.
Thank you. Closer is better.
Oh, yeah.
There's,
About that.
yeah, there's some gilding there too. Remarkable difference in the texture on the hair side. It's always amazing to me the difference between flesh and hair. Hard to get around. Oh, here. So this is this is bigger than the copy stand can handle. So basically, I've got it set about for the width of it of a leaf now. But this is a conjoint leaf from an antiphonal in a lovely rotunda. So this is probably, I don't know, this is maybe full leaf. This is 26 inches tall or something. It's a pretty big,
Yeah.
big object.
The X side is quite high. It's about 2 centimeters or almost 2 centimeters high.
All right, so I'm going to do a little. I didn't bring a lot of writing manuals. There are a lot of writing manuals with a lot of black letter here. But we wanted to have some variety. So this is Van de Velde, 1605 in the Netherlands. So there he is. And there's the title page.
Spiegel der Schriftkunst. Okay.
Spiegel der Schriftkunst. And one of the great writing manuals, I think. Here, a nice quill. The famous Viva la Plume. Usually Velde is the largest or among the largest words on every page. So here we go. There's some nice Fraktur. This is printed from engraved metal plates and has the sort of characteristic sharpness of that. And there's an endless debate as to whether a lot of this is pointed pen or edge pen. The quill cutting diagram in the back of the book actually shows an edge, but a very, very fine one. I'm looking through, looking for more black letter things. Well, this is a good one to do. So a couple of years ago, I ran across a listing for this piece in a Dutch auction, and it was described as anonymous 17th century Dutch calligraphy on vellum. And then, it ended up being a couple €100, which is very nice because when we got it when it arrived and we took it out of the map, we found this calligraphic notation from the 19th century, which translates as this is original Van de Velde. And you can kind of tell by looking. I mean, I suspected it was Van de Velde or Perling or somebody pretty good when I saw it. But it was listed as anonymous. And I think it's interesting to compare the detail in the work, because there's this debate sometimes about how much of these forms are from the scribe, the pen, and how much is from the engraver. The implication being that the engraver actually refined or improved the calligrapher's work. This is too close to resolve, but I can tell you that the crosshatch detail in here is about twice as fine as in the engraved. And that this original calligraphy is every bit as beautiful and precise as the printed books. So my opinion here is that the engravers were struggling to keep up. The quill diagram. So here's a ductus for Fraktur. This is in the instructional section in the back of the book. And so here are some of the Blackletter models. And here's the quill cutting diagram. And you can see that it does not come to a point. Actually, you can't see. And I'm not sure I can even zoom in close enough that you can't see. But okay, any questions about this before we move on?
Yeah, early 17th century. Yeah.
1605. Yeah. And the original calligraphy is probably within a few years of that date. We'll never know exactly.
Yeah, der Spiegel der Schriftkunst was his big work, his big magic.
He also did this really fun thing, which is much smaller. It's known as the Delicate. It's from a little bit later. And I'm going to have to zoom in on this one. This copy lacks a title and also some of the plates. And you can see from my fingers the scale here. So this is I don't know, a fifth or a sixth the size of the Spiegel der Schriftkunst. But it's one of his more beautiful things. The plates are simpler, of course, and it's really charming. There's quite a bit of Blackletter of various kinds, mainly Fraktur. And then the companion piece that I have here was done in the 1980s. By Gerrit Nooitzij in the Netherlands, who, just for the hell of it, or to show off or whatever, decided that he would re-engrave some of the plates from the Delicate. Oops, that's a different one. Okay. Well, let's open a couple of these so we can see the pairings. Questions welcome anytime. That's kind of interesting.
Now, are these printed from looks like there was a plate used to print these also.
Yes, because Northside re-engraved them.
Yeah. He re-engraved them with
By
new
hand.
plates. He created new plates.
He made new plates, yeah. I'm
So
looking-
my question is, how did the engraver create the plates from the original calligraphy?
Well, basically they would use the model and there were some, I don't know for sure whether they were using some kind of transfer. Paul Shaw's on here, isn't he?
Rob,
Yeah,
what's his name? Toon Van Oekelen Croze, if I'm getting his name right, in Amsterdam. He knows a lot about this. And I think when I visited there in 2011, he was telling me that they used the equivalent of tracing paper.
yeah.
And they had ways of doing transfers.
So they'd lay it down face down so they could do it in reverse so that it would print straight, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the
Yeah.
engraving, of course, had to be in reverse.
Yeah.
But there's a book in the last year or two from Mr. Van Oekelen about, I think it's Van de Velde, it's in Dutch, and it probably tells you some of the stuff.
Ooh,
Matthew
Paul, send me a link.
Lohman probably could help out with that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how accurate it is when you consider that
Oh, I know.
process.
Yeah, well, and I mean, look at the scale of this, right?
I know.
But almost more amazing, here is Garrett Northside's 1980 re-engraving.
So Herriot actually engraved that himself?
Yep,
In-
he did. He didn't do all of them, and it took us a minute to find some that pair up because our Delicae is missing a few plates, and he didn't do all of the plates from it either. But
Can
yeah,
you-
this is Garrett in 1980, re-engraving by hand.
Jeez.
I'd like to find more about that from you, Rob, because there's a man in Austria who's trying to work on a book in tribute to Herriot. And
Sure. Well, this is the cover of the re-edition. It's a slipcase set with commentary and then the plates. And this is one that's interesting because it has a ductus for I don't know, if it's more secretarial petard type thing. Yeah, I'll send you some stuff about this. If you have a link on the new book about Van de Velde.
I have a copy of the book. I'll look for it. You got it last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if I think the camera's not going to like it. It won't focus, will it? This little cartouche, I can't even describe how fine it is. It's crazy. I mean, look at it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and this. Holy shit. Sorry.
It's okay. You can say it.
I have to show you this in person so you can say something about it.
My God.
Holy shit, right?
Even with glasses, I wouldn't be able to read that. My God.
Yeah, this is
microscopic.
this is microscopic, guys. So,
It says something. but-
okay, I feel like we fell down a rabbit hole. Are you bored?
No.
Okay. We doing okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So ask things and talk to me. Because we're like, sitting in a room here. Wondering if this is interesting.
Wonderful to see.
The
Wonderful.
next thing that I've got here is a manuscript by someone named L. Hartz, and we do not know who that is. But it's from 1810, as you can see. And it came from the Bauer Foundry archive and has their ex libris. There's that. This is very awkward. Okay. Detective Barish Isharai. Christopher Hannes is here. Wow. This is wonderful. All these people. I wish you were here. I miss you all.
We
Okay.
wish we were there too.
Well, that can happen. I'm not sure where you all are. So Christopher, I guess, is in Norway.
Mhm.
I'm
Bit of a-
in Germany. How
And
many?
I'm in England.
You're in England. We've got
Mhm.
Claude in Peru. Okay, so here we go. This is a manuscript, 1810. For some reason, it was in the library of the Bauer Type Foundry, but now it lives here. And here's some of the lovely front. Okay. Okay, I think that's a pretty good view to turn the pages. But I'll zoom in a little on this. I think I can get closer. You can see some of that detail.
God, the cross hatching and that, those
Oh,
letters
it's
on the
amazing.
third line is
Yeah,
extremely fine.
oh, this is fun. It's like little garlands or something around the letters. I'm not sure I've ever seen quite like that. There's all kinds of fun flourishing going on the page.
So were these all
That's
done
it.
by one person or?
Yeah, they're signed Ludwig Hartz, whoever that is. We don't know who, what age. A lot of these are, especially 19th century. Some of these things are sort of schoolboy practice, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a famous calligrapher, because there were people doing this kind of stuff and they were good. Okay, so let's see what we got. Should we go to maybe Koch? We got that. Did that. Yeah, let's do some. How about some Rudolf Koch? Okay. Okay, this first Koch is a lovely little manuscript from 1912 in the most delicate fraktur you'll ever see. And very, very similar to the Freuling typeface that came out in 1917. So there, I'll skip to the colophon. Signature is so lovely.
1912.
1912. And it's this beautiful arrangement of 4 lines bounded by 2 vertical pencil lines on each page. And just the most beautiful, delicate script.
So this was done in 1912, prior to World War I. Rudolf Koch fought in World War I. So it's just interesting to note what his style was before.
We didn't pull it today because it's in current shrift, but we also have the manuscript of his war diaries. just
Mm,
as a,
yeah.
in case anyone's interested in seeing that sometime. Okay, so an early Koch manuscript. This next one is a Koch block book. And it's from a little bit later. I'm not sure exactly. Let me see. Okay, no date there. I think this is probably around 1920, give or take a few years. So here's the full spread. So for this one, each page is a block. And the wonderful thing about block books and other things where the method of reproduction is the same for the text and the illustration is how beautifully they flow and integrate together. Koch did about 6 block books and some broadsides in woodblock, similar work. 1919, there's the date.
So it's interesting to note the style, the change in his style before and after World War I, compared to that airy little.
Okay, this one is
Well, Koch was doing a heavy style for his Deutschschrift in 1910. I don't think the Fruhling indicates a change in style.
no, that's right. That's right. It's just a very, it's a different thing. So this is one of the woodcut broadsides. There's the full sheet, and I'll zoom in now on the block. And then maybe even further on the text.
Very healthy, and Anne says they're really looking forward to living with.
So I think we have all of the woodblock pieces now. Not an easy thing to do anymore, to get them all. I didn't, however, pull them all to show. This is another one. This is Elia, larger format. Interesting book plate. This one, this just knocks me out.
I believe this is on your website. I've seen this. This has been scanned.
Does everybody know about our online archive?
No.
No,
No.
Or- no, lots of no's. Okay, well then I'll do a quick screen share. This one is also 1919, as it turns out. The next piece is from 1925, I think. And it's a manuscript by a student of Koch named Bill Weber. It's a manuscript of there.
Are these the Songs of Solomon?
They are indeed. I think that's about as close as it'll go before it gets fuzzy. Look at these wonderful square black letter capitals, I guess you call them. Okay, we don't have to go through the whole thing. I'll skip ahead to the colophon. There it is. Written by Will Weber, 1923, I guess. No. How are we doing on time?
So we've gone for about 45 minutes so far. It's like 10 minutes to 11.
Okay. Is it usually an hour or
It can be anywhere between 1 and 2 hours.
okay, well,
This is fine.
I'm strapped into an icing machine. I can go for a while. This one is just such a delightful story. This is Ruhrkopf's first book called Das Schreiben als Kunstwerkkeit, and it's instructional. It's the less sort of well-known one. By the way, there's a photograph of he actually did 2 copies of that lovely little manuscript, which are in the Gerald Cinnamon book about him. There's a complete list of the manuscripts. And so he did 2 versions of that Murike poem, and one of them is illustrated here. This is not the one that we have. But how about that? This is 1920. I forget. But here's the 21. And it was published in Leipzig. So pretty early on. But the curious thing is, I found this book and had no reason to think it was special. But I eventually figured out that there was no hardcover edition of it. And in the 1980s, I had started to work with Michael Neugebauer in a publishing venture, Friedrich Neugebauer's son. And I was beginning to collect, and I had recently acquired this. And so one time he came over and I was very excited. And I said, let me show you my new Koch book. And he looked at it, and then he opened it to the front. And he said, well, that belonged to my dad. I didn't realize that Fritz was Friedrich's nickname. I hadn't met him at that point. And I just picked it up at, some bookstore in the East somewhere. And Michael didn't know the thing about the binding, but I then, when I went to meet Friedrich for the first time, I brought this book. And I offered to give it back to him because he'd been separated from his books during the war. And he wouldn't take it. He insisted that I keep it. But he did tell me the story. He bound this as a student project, which means that this calligraphy is by Friedrich Neugebauer. So that's kind of a fun story. That's actually for about a year or two, I did a column in Friends of Calligraphy Alphabet, and this was one of the featured objects. So that story is in your archives if you have a run of Alphabet. Okay. One more Koch, or a couple more Kochs. This one is an original from Christian Symbols. And signed a presentation from Koch. Beautiful textura, very pretty, slightly rough paper. And then he also did, in addition to the block book reproductions of calligraphy, he did a number of things where calligraphic books of his were reproduced by lithography. And so this is one of those. This is 1913. The fourth printing in his private press.
Lithography reproduction.
Yeah. Okay, what do we got here?
So it's that.
Some Zoff, okay. Oh yeah, a little bit of Zoff. So this isn't that uncommon, but it's always so beautiful, and it kind of pairs with a piece of original calligraphy. So this is Pen Engraver by Zoff. And let's find a good, there's a nice. All these sort of mashups of black letter and italic and so many things. But a lot of the best plates in here are black letter of one kind or another. And then we only have one piece of original calligraphy by Zoff. But there it is.
No, this is very tiny. The I'd say the X height is about 7 millimeters.
Yeah, there's
So-
a finger.
It's probably done with like a 1 millimeter nib.
Yeah,
one and
more
a
than
half.
that, 1.5, 2, maybe. Yeah. So, and of course, the Pen Engraver was engraved in metal by August Rosenberger. And the other thing that I brought from Herman is actually just a small instructional manual. I don't know if you can still get this. It was done by the Rotring Pen Company. But it has some lovely models of various hands, including, yes, there's 2 spreads of
The
black.
Rotring book was done in 3 languages, and they're not identical, the 3 books. There are some changes from alphabet to alphabet,
Oh, that's interesting.
French, German, and English.
Are they, so in the artwork, not just in the text, right, Paul?
He substituted some alphabets.
Interesting. Well, this is the German one. This is the one that he gave me, and it's usually in paper. I guess they did a small bind up in hardcover. But
I've seen paperback.
Yeah, and also the Republicans hate him. They hate him more than they hate Katie Porter. I mean, it was the face of impeachment. Excuse me, the face of impeachment, and
This should have been in the little run of Koch material, but somehow we missed it. This is an engrossed certificate, I suppose you'd call it, from the Offenbacher Werkstatt. It's actually signed, as you can see here, with the workshop mark, which makes it a little hard to be sure who wrote it. But it appears to be either Friedrich Heinrichsen or possibly Koch, possibly Volpe, from the date and the style of it. It's on vellum in a lovely leather binding for presentation, and was presented to a woman in Los Angeles in 1929.
It says it's like an honorary citizenship.
Yes.
It is a certificate. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Let's see, that's the Neugebauer copy, right? No, that one here. Yeah. Oh, this is Neugebauer. Sorry, Hal, we're a little disorganized, but we're having fun if you are. This is all Neugebauer. Okay, let's do Sheila. So this one's kind of a curiosity. When I met Sheila Waters in 1980 or 1975, I visited her in Washington, and she wrote. She was in those days. She did this for most of her students, as did Johnston, by the way, because he believed that an original written model was really important for students to see, as opposed to printed in any form. And so Sheila used to do this. She would take out a piece of typing paper, lay it down on the board, and just write these alphabets. No guidelines and no prep. So here you see the ones that are sort of black letter. Maybe not her greatest strength, but then there's this amazing, the Carolingian from under Milkwood, which she had just finished, I think, and it was just at the tip of her hand, you know. She tossed it off, and these are very quickly written also. It was just so much fun to see her make letters. Let's see. We're going to end with a bunch of Neugebauer, but got a few other things in between. So this one is fun, and I made a point of bringing it because I thought maybe some of you haven't seen it. This was Adrian Frudiger's thesis project, in which he cut a history of the Roman letter in wood. And it's a leporello. It actually, we could spread, it reaches this whole table, like 20 feet long. But I'll just turn the spreads here and focus on the black letter. Here's a summary of the flow.
this fucker died on me.
Always happens.
Have you all seen this? Here's the black letters.
I have a copy,
Of course you do, Paul. I'm not talking to you.
but there was a reprint, I believe, that Eric Alb did in the 1990s.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, it's worth picking up if you can find it. So there's really just the one spread of black letters. But Fruitiger was just so good, and it's a little bit like the Nordsai engraved, re-engraved brand of Elda. It's to some degree, it's also showing off the technique. It's kind of nice that the wood grain is shown, and so you really have a sense, and also that it's done in reverse, right? So this is the exact opposite of the Koch block books, where the background is carved away, and arguably, this would be a little bit easier to pull off as opposed to a positive print. But anyway, it's a lovely piece.
And so that was carved in wood or
In wood.
I see.
Pearwood supposedly.
Yeah, side grain, you can tell. I wanted to bring this book out just because it's a personal favorite, and you know, it's not so much. Actually, Nerdinger generally, there's 3 or 4 great books. This is the one that fits the best on the coffee stand. He taught, I think, in Munich or somewhere in Bavaria, and was pretty influential. Did a lot of wonderful work. I don't think he ever designed a typeface. But this is a wide-ranging history of symbols and lettering, but has a wonderful section of various scripts, including the modular elements and ductus of them. Some are more typographic and drawn, some are pretty directly broad pen forms. And then another favorite section for me in here, which has quite a bit of block letter, is this, which is kind of a summary of styles for signage. And you can see the suggestion. So this one is suggested for underwear. This one's suggested for poultry, ice cream, coal. I don't know whether that's meant to be any kind of definitive attribution, but he had a wonderful way with modernized historical forms. How many of you know Nerdinger?
I have.
I do.
Well, you're German, Andrea.
Yeah, yeah. I have one of his books, and I have to say it's a very good one. I would love to have this one too.
This isn't hard to find, actually, I think.
Yeah, I just wrote down. I have to look it up on the internet if I could find it, especially because of his sign writing
What is
work.
this one
Yeah.
again? Rob?
I mean,
What?
here, I'm just going to zoom in on one, which
What was the
Hold
title
on.
of it again?
I'll turn back to it in a second. But
Okay,
look at
thank
that-
you.
Look at that one on top. It's just such a beautiful modernization of you know, a kind of a simple Gothic. He was just very, very great. Everything he touched. Ornament. There you go. So this is English or multilingual. This is actually this is French. Yeah, this actually seems to be English and French, but this was published in quite a few languages, I think, and it almost feels like a textbook. It's called Signs, Scripts, and Ornaments, and it's voluminous and really a good theoretical background for letterforms. I think it may actually have been intended as a textbook. Okay, jumping around a bit, here's a nice little chapbook by Rudolf Spemann, who was a student of Schneidler, and pretty much everything he did was amazing. Some of it is blackletter. Some of it is blackletter. There's a beauty. Love that Z. He did mainly book covers and music, book and music stuff. And he did a typeface called Gavotte. I think that's his only typeface. And then sort of backing up, I brought out the middle or one of the 4 volumes of Ernst Schneidler's Die Wassermann, which is a wonderful thing that everybody should have a chance to see. And the script volume, the second volume of it, has some really interesting and creative black letters. Lots of experimentation with weight and proportion. So here's a rotunda. And so here's a rotunda. It's a lot of riffs on rotunda, which are, crossing over to more of a Carolingian or Roman style. One of Schneidler's typefaces, Legende, was sort of based on that style. Here's some of the more traditional textura and precises. This is amazing. A lot of Schneidler did these things called Schriftblatt, which I guess translates as shrift drawing or shrift page, and so he would mix styles and create sort of textural compositions. And then there's a lot of very freehand experimentation with monograms in it. So here's a Schriftblatt. We're kind of far away from Blackletter, but there is a very specific, this is actually Speyman. So some of the work in, that looks like a duplicate folio. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the work in these 4, there's 4 of these portfolios. All the sheets are the same size. But some of the work is student work, and so you can identify Brudi and Speyman and a few others from later public, later versions that were published. Music at the end. Wow. Okay. Well, I was looking for a specific thing, and I may have to give up because I haven't found it so far. It's a chunky black letter that's incredibly distinctive, and a lot of his students played with that idea. Mostly true.
Is that it?
No, it's way chunkier than that. It's also possible that it's miscollated into a different. This is something that happens sometimes in a place like this. I never get used to it, but sort of unavoidable. Yeah, well, I'm not seeing it. I'll have to, yeah. Maybe. We did see these, I think. Yeah, okay, well, I'm not gonna waste too much more time on that. Yeah. That'll need to be squared up, okay. I'm gonna just pass on that little guy. And now everything that remains is Friedrich Neugebauer. So these are publications of Neugebauer's private press that involve type N calligraphy. This is one. So there's I don't know, is that Blackletter? Sure. Neugebauer had a very specific style of sort of very condensed and sloped blackletter. Really kind of Fraktur, but very narrow and sloped. And he used it a fair amount. That one's upright, more formal. And that's a favorite. Okay. That's the thing.
It's a very narrow.
Yeah, this is a very
Very
narrow,
narrow
very
blackletter.
sort of spiky. And it's a leporello, as you can see. So I'll just lay it out and zoom in on the text so you can see. Oop, too close. There we go. Yeah, that one's vertical. What a beautiful rhythm, though. He was amazing. And then this guy is, I think, in the sloped. Yeah, this is more sloped. This is a beautiful thing too, though. Not really a black letter, is it? It's kind of a spiky italic. But the rhythm of it and the texture does sort of feel like black letter. And by the way, that printing is green. I'm not sure why it looks more black on Zoom, but it's green. Well, that's the end of the show and tell, but I want to take a minute and show you some things. I'll just show you quickly what you can find in the online archive. So I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to stop. Let's see how to do that. But I think I need a gallery view. Yeah, I need a gallery view. Okay.
Going out, Brown?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for those that remain. What is it? 11:17. This will take 5 minutes.
No, that's fine. There's no rush.
Let me actually, I'm going to go set up a tab first. All right.
Tom's gonna have eye surgery.
Oops. Yeah.
Is that laser surgery you had?
Screen sharing is paused.
You had.
No, I had cataract surgery where he
What?
lens and put in a new lens.
But you're actually in the surgical
Yeah.
operating room.
That's why it took so long.
Sure, what happened there?
Uh,
Oh, it switched off of Screen share. Okay, here we go.
Click on the browser, go down to the bottom and
Yeah.
find the browser right here. There you go. There you go.
Okay. All right. Is everybody seeing my browser?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So in the top right corner, you can see there's a button that says search the collection. That goes to the online archive. And so I'm going to just show you a couple things really quickly that I think you'll find useful. I'm going to go to disciplines and choose calligraphy, and you can see there's 155 objects that have that tag. And then I'm going to sort that selection by decade. And so now we have, well, this is misdated. Oh, actually, no, that's funny. It's an odd cover to show for that. But this is a Carolingian fragment used as a binding. And so that is in the correct, the key frame for that object is wrong because it's showing the pamphlet bound inside the Carolingian leaf. But this is our earliest piece of calligraphy. And so back to this, that's a little misleading. This is from the 12th century Islamic Naqsh script, but these are meant, so here's a psalter from the 14th century. Here's the Rothschild Book of Hours.
So that's what we saw today.
That's one of the things we saw today. And the resolution is pretty extraordinary. You can zoom in on everything. We always photograph whole objects. We never scan. They're photographed on a copy stand with raking light so that you get texture and a feeling of the physicality of the object. Here's the manuscript leaf that's similar to the Gutenberg Bible. And here's a papal brief. So that's the early stuff. And then this is a decade search, and it has stuff from other cultures as well. This is from this is a Sarat Anbiya from Java, basically. Manuscript in so there are manuscripts in different scripts. And then as you come into later, so here's Lloyd Reynolds. This is Arnold Bank in 1954 tossing off Viva la Plume from memory from the Van de Velde.
Wow, that's pretty good.
With a ballpoint pen. And so I have to say the selection, here's one of the Koch block books we looked at. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. The stuff that's in here is a little bit random in the modern. It's not really well curated. The early stuff, we've tried to do some of the important things first. And by the way, writing manuals is a whole other thing. It's worth, you know, if you go to formats. But you can also do fun things like, you know, let's say I'll do Italy in the 50s and 60s. You know, so you can cut across the different tags in filtering. There's modern calligraphy. Here's a Thomas Ingmeyer piece. Timothy Ely, who do folks in this room know Timothy Ely's work?
I took a workshop from him.
So
Owen,
we have 4, oh, wait, no, it wouldn't work. Okay. Then I have to do it this way.
just so I can track you, I'll bring your phone so I can, I'll be able to know all your movements.
Center for the Book in San Francisco just had, as you know, just had a Timothy Ealing.
Kidding you, that's how people get tracked.
Indeed, and we lent 4 objects and we digitized them before they went, which is what I'm trying to get to here. What's the simplest way to do this? Maybe it's the people thing. Yeah. Yeah. There we are. Okay, so there's our 4 Timothy Ely manuscripts.
Interesting.
Here's Flight into Egypt, which is probably the most spectacular of them.
Detail.
The calligraphy, the writing is all Asemic. So it's cool. Anyway, I guess I just wanted to give you a little taste of the online archive. It's a lot of fun to play with. You don't need any more instruction than that, but just to know that you can, like, choose calligraphy and then sort it by decade and go through all of the calligraphy. It's not that much at this point. I think it was a couple hundred objects. There's a lot more here. At this point, the online archive has about, I think we're up to about 3,000 objects. I can show you, if I can figure out how to do it. Yes. Okay. Oh, right. No. Yeah. Okay. So asterisk is an Easter egg that gives you everything in the archive, right? Everything in the online archive. So there it is. So there are 2,957 items now in the online archive. The number of images is closer to 30 or 40,000 because many of them are multiple images. But if you do an asterisk and then sort it by decade, you can kind of scroll through everything that's in the online archive in chronological order. And then you can also filter it in all of these ways. So, all right, just wanted you to know what a fun resource that is. It's free and open to the public. For this purpose, members do have the ability to make tables, which is a form of saved set and really useful. You can do presentations. Educators do, you can make a table and present directly from it in high res with nice captions that are formatted automatically. And you can also save and share tables as mood boards or inspiration sets or for students, whatever. So that's all I've got. Any last minute questions for me before or Raul, who's sitting right next to me?
One question, what is the process for if you want to visit the archive in person? What's the procedure?
Yeah, go to the website, click on visits, and it'll show you the various types of, there are, what you would probably want is a research visit, which is where you come, you book some time, you request a bunch of stuff, and we bring it out for you.
Okay. And what's the address here? You're on 3rd Street near Mariposa, or?
We're on 3rd Street in the Dog Patch in San Francisco. Interestingly, at the corner of 3rd and 20th Streets, figure out how that's possible. Okay. And right on a streetcar line, if that's helpful. If you're staying in town, it's not hard to get at. So, well, thank you all. This was really fun.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rob. I really appreciate you
Yeah.
giving
Thank
me.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. That was
Wonderful.
great.
Wonderful.
you.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you, especially with your knee. My sympathies.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's healing up pretty well. I'm doing,
I've been there.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, take care. And I will be sending out a link to the recording of this presentation, and it will be on YouTube.
Wonderful.
Anyway,
Mhm.
I want to get
You want to save the chat?
the chat before that.
I'd love to see the chat because I want to see all who was here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.